The Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the United States and is a place where many river ecosystems transition into the marine ecosystem that is the Atlantic Ocean. It is located off of the coasts of Maryland and Virginia, and over 150 rivers and streams flow into the Chesapeake Bay. This creates a unique environment of brackish water, which is home to over 3,600 unique species. Because of how many rivers flow into the Chesapeake Bay, it is at risk of increased sedimentation from the communities that reside there. The two main causes of increased sedimentation are agriculture and construction. Agricultural practices take up over one-third of the watershed in the Chesapeake Bay community and are responsible for nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment pollution. Agriculture is also responsible for 10% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, another factor contributing to the damaged ecosystem of the bay. The goal of my paper is to analyze the potential solutions farmers could implement to reduce runoff and help restore the bay. Conventional agricultural systems often consist of monocropping, heavy pesticide and herbicide use, and extensive tillage of the soil. These practices strip nutrients, erode topsoil, and lead to excessive soil erosion and polluted runoff. Loose soil from the extensive tillage that contains herbicides and pesticides are then carried into streams, rivers, and eventually Chesapeake Bay itself. The reason that the cleanup may have to fall on the communities surrounding Chesapeake Bay is because of budget cuts under the Trump administration. Maryland lawmakers are struggling to figure out how to fill a $3 billion budget gap, and legislative analysts have recommended that they drain funds reserved for preserving land, restoring wildlife habitat, and reducing stormwater pollution. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation advocates for conservation programs that establish on the ground projects that limit polluting runoff while improving farm health. Some of these suggestions are stream buffers, continuous no-till, rotational grazing, conservation crop rotation, cover crops, silvopasture, nutrient management, streamside fencing, and the other best management practices. Stream buffers are the easiest way to prevent runoff, as they typically come in the form of vegetation or retention ponds. The vegetation holds topsoil in place, and retention ponds hold runoff containing nitrogen and phosphorus from herbicides. Subsidizing vegetation planting would be a cost-effective way to help limit runoff into lakes and streams and would be easily implemented by the state governments of Maryland and Virginia. Solutions that could be easily applied to everyone contributing to an issue don't exist in most circumstances, but stream buffers would be a near universal solution at a relatively cheap cost. Another change that needs to be made is a switch away from the herbicides and pesticides currently being used. They cause excessive amounts of nitrogen and phosphorus to accumulate in the Chesapeake Bay, which leads to algae blooms. Algae blooms deplete the oxygen levels of the water, which is harmful to the marine life that lives there. The harm being done to marine life doesn't only affect the organisms in the Chesapeake Bay, but it also impacts the economic interests of the communities that surround. Shellfish harvesting is an economic feature in the bay, as crabbing and lobstering provide jobs for many in the communities. Algae blooms limit the oxygen that shellfish require to develop, as well as cloud the water, which prevents the seagrass and other vegetation that grows on the bottom from receiving the light that it requires to grow. Said vegetation provides habitats for many marine animals that are harvested, and this leaves them susceptible to predation. The runoff from farms is directly impacting these industries, and changing the agricultural practices would lessen the damage being done to the environment, and it would be of great benefit to the communities situated on the Chesapeake Bay.